You guys ready to meet these guys? It's a pretty good-looking group of people. Without further ado, please welcome to the Nerd HQ stage, in no particular but very particular order, Josh Holloway, Sarah Wayne Callies, Ryan Condal, Carlton Cuse, and Peter Jacobson! I love that I got a curtsy out of you.
The only time in my life I've ever curtsied.
The only time? I got your first and only curtsy?
Well, I mean, like on stage doing Shakespeare plays, which is what you're all here to talk about.
You never know. Sometimes they do. It's that kind of panel.
Anybody want to talk about Shakespeare? Anyone?
No.
Crickets.
So we had a little technical difficulty with the trailer, as you probably heard backstage. So we're going to probably throw to that at some point in the panel. So let's just open it up to questions right now.
Or we can just act the trailer out.
You could do that. You could act it out. I was trying to narrate it, but I wasn't doing it justice. I wasn't doing it. Would you like to? Carlton, why don't you act the whole thing out?
Coming this October from USA Network, Colony. And then you're like, I just want my son back.
Do you see what I got to deal with? Do you see this guy? Yeah.
And then Peter.
You can't have your son back.
I'll just make drone sounds.
And then.
It was a Wookiee sound.
And then Sarah, what's your soundbite from the trailer?
Hey guys, Colony, let's give it up for. That was good. That was it. That's all. That's it. Let's open it up.
Pretty much everything you need to know about the show. So, in other words, you've seen no trailer, you know nothing, but we are totally here to talk about Colony. And whatever else.
Oh, we got a question right there. Yes, let's get her a microphone. Boom. Done.
Oh, nice shirt.
Thank you.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Picked it up at a yard sale for 50 cents.
Fantastic.
Just joking. Of course, I've had it since like 2005. Quick question for Carlton and Sawyer. When you put the show together, when you were putting ideas for the show, did he immediately pop into your mind from your golden days of yore?
Well, you know, it's helpful that I have a picture of Josh with his shirt off right next to my computer. And so when I'm writing, somehow he comes to mind. I don't know.
Carlton heavily resisted it, but I insisted.
Ryan and I have been working on Colony for 2 years, and as we got into the script, you know, we were thinking about who was going to be this guy, and I had really, Josh and I became great friends doing Lost, and we talked about doing something else together, and so it was like, yeah, totally, we should get this to Josh, and it just so happened that we finished the script just at a moment in time when Josh had a window availability. We sent it to him, and it was our great fortune that he said yes.
It was a fantastic script. Are you kidding me? It was a lifesaver. I think I was in the middle of an argument with my wife. She's like, go to work. I'm like, I'm trying. I'm waiting for a good story. And then Carlton called, like, help. But the story was fantastic, and I was really looking for something to sink my teeth into, and really that was big storytelling the way Lost was. And the year previous, Ryan and Carlton had written a script called The Sixth Gun, and it was fantastic as well, and I wanted to do it, and I chose something else. Luckily, because then it canceled, and here I am.
What fortune?
You know, that's how it works.
All good casting stories start with some of us getting fired.
Strangely, that's true.
Next question. Not everybody at once.
Crickets.
Yes, you, sir, in the blue shirt, right there.
Hi, guys. I'm a huge fan of all of your work. My question's for Sarah. So you've worked with a lot of incredible leads, like Wentworth Miller in Prison Break, Andrew Lincoln in Walking Dead, and now Josh Holloway in Colony. I was wondering, you have any like fun stories with either of those men, and like what the experience was like with each of them?
None of them are any fun. Josh and I actually shot a movie together. Not that the movie ever came out, but we shot a movie together early in our careers. It was right after the first season of Lost, right before the first season of Prison Break. And so when this came up, what I knew is that I would be going to work with a gentleman, and that's a really rare breed in what we do. Yeah, and we're on stage with two of them, which is actually kind of remarkable.
Josh and Carlton, right?
And I'm presuming that you're leaving Peter and Ryan out of that.
No.
All right. Well, then me and Ryan are left out of that.
I am the gentleman, yes.
And that's how Sarah had a 2-episode arc on Colony. It was great to go back to work with someone. And actually, when we did this little flick that we'd done before, there was a love scene in it. And there was a little love scene in the pilot. And back when we shot this movie, you know, Josh had been modeling like 5 minutes before, and I'd never had any kids. So we got ready to shoot the scene for Colony. And I was like, okay, so listen. I'm not in my 20s anymore. I had a couple kids. I don't know what you're expecting, but bring it all down. And Josh just
I call
laughed.
bullshit.
And
She looked the same.
Jokes.
After 2 kids. Fantastic.
Well, the point is, stop it, stop it. I just insulted everybody up here, don't be nice. The point is, I knew that we could build a marriage on that kind of a sense of humor, and the fact that we've known each other for 10 years actually really, I think, helps us build kind of the heart of this story, which is 2 people who love the living daylights out of each other and have 2 very philosophically different approaches to how to handle this occupation.
In a word, marriage. No. No, it's true. We've grown in this decade. You know, I have 2 children. She has 2 children. We were both married and understand what that means in a long-term situation and the ups and downs of that and the weight of that, of having children and a true love that you're fighting for. So it was amazing when they cast Sarah. I was like, yes, someone that completely understands that and relates to that. So it was perfect.
You just told me a story backstage about how you swapped in your work to where you both grew up, and how that also kind of gave. Can you want to speak to that real quick?
Well, I moved to Hawaii to do Lost, and
Which is where I grew up.
yes, which is where Sarah grew up.
And I moved to Georgia,
Which is where I
Walking
grew up.
Dead. And I gotta tell you, he makes so much more sense once you've been to Georgia. I was like, oh, I get it now.
She still makes no sense.
That's a marriage.
Let's go to the next question. Right here, sir.
This is for everyone. You were explaining some of the things that made kind of this project easier because of the relationship, but what kind of, was it a challenge in this project that you might not have been able to face in something you've done before?
Peter. I always whenever there's a tough question, I just immediately say Peter, and then because he's always got something really clever and funny to say. Peter.
Watch this. What was the question, actually? What was there something particularly challenging about this that I hadn't? Well, what was neat about it, and I guess is also a challenge that I do often play. I tend to play schmucks and losers and bad guys or annoying people. I don't know why. This was a schmuck, annoying person who really was in charge. There was a lot of power. And at first glance of the script, I thought, well, here's a guy who's the bad guy who's in charge, and that's not really me. And I thought, all right, well, how am I gonna, bring a certain power there that I don't sort of naturally have? And then as I read it again, and when I got it and we did it, I realized that sort of what's really great about my character, who is the bad guy in charge, is that he's also really very much just sort of a guy, somebody who didn't expect to be in the position of power that he's in. And having not seen the trailer, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But that's
he's there. Yes. So Peter is the proxy general of the Los Angeles colony. So basically, Ryan and I had worked together on this project, Six Gun, and as we were doing it, we started talking about other stuff, and we were both fascinated with this idea of Paris under Nazi occupation, and we looked at a bunch of these pictures of people sitting in sidewalk cafes in nice clothes, having espressos while Nazi stormtroopers were going by, and we thought that was just incredibly interesting, the incongruity of people trying to maintain their normalcy of their lives under this incredible oppressive regime. And we thought, where could we, was there a way to do that in a contemporary setting? So we sort of translated, and it's right now in Los Angeles, and this mysterious invading force has come down, and they've put up these huge walls around Los Angeles, and we don't really know why they're walled in, what's on the outside, what's the extent of what's happened in the outside world. But they've also installed this this proxy government that is made up of other residents of Los Angeles. Peter is in charge of that, and so it's a little bit like the United States going into Afghanistan and then putting someone like Karzai in charge. And you know, there are good and bad things that come out of that. He ostensibly is supposed to be helping the United States, but he may be also serving his own self-interest. And we looked at a lot of, you know, analogs of colonization around the world. And you know, one of the things you start to realize is that every country in the world practically has either been a colony or a colonizer. And there's certain common elements to the kind of experience that happens in repressive colonial situations. I mean, I don't know if you would call North Korea a colony, but certainly it's a very oppressive culture. Our director, Juan Jose Campanella, came from Argentina, and he grew up in the 70s when there was a dictatorship in Argentina, and so he completely dialed in and related to the script and ran it through the prism of what his experience was like as a film student in the 70s in Argentina, where he would get stopped randomly by the police, thrown out of the car, gun put to the back of his head. His stuff was to be searched because they presumed that anybody who was a young film student was a radical or subversive guy. And so, you know, and then our director of photography was from Peru and had gone through the same sort of experience there. And so it felt like we were tying into some things that were universal, but and then we kind of crafted it as a little bit of a kind of a thriller. So Josh plays a guy who was an FBI agent, and during the arrival, when this mysterious invading force comes down, we might have spilled earlier that it was Canadians. That may or may not be true.
It's always the Canadians, Carlton.
Yes.
Canalians.
Canalians, as we were
Peter
referring
said
to them.
before.
Yes.
Peter credit.
So they. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. Where was I here?
The show is hilarious.
Yeah. But anyway, so Josh, when they come down, they wipe out the political military infrastructure, so there's no sort of authority structure. They put this new one in charge. Josh was an FBI agent who went undercover during the arrival, and he hid, and then he gets discovered, and then he's sort of coerced by Peter's character into coming to work for the occupation to hunt down this nascent resistance movement. And that's really where the story starts. And it's kind of what happens to this family and what all the implications of that are for this family. So that's the trailer in a much less entertaining version than if you'd actually watched it.
So in answer to your question, yes, it was a challenge.
Who's got the next question? Right there, sir.
Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Huge Lost fan. It's a question for Carlton and Josh. What was your favorite scene to write for Sawyer? What was your favorite scene to act? And I think we all want to know who came up with all the nicknames, and was anything ad-libbed?
You go first.
Well, there was a lot of questions.
There was a lot of questions.
Yeah, which one?
Favorite scene, nicknames, did you
favorite
ad-lib any of
scene,
those? What was your favorite scene to act?
Well, one of my favorite scenes, they were all my favorite scenes to act, actually. So there was, I mean, really, it was amazing to go to work and have that kind of material as an actor to work with on a daily basis. You're like, wow, when is this going to dry up? Because this is fantastic. But one of the most memorable was the 800-pound boar that you hired to be that I had.
Don't talk about me like that.
And you know, literally, I'm laying in this tent, you know, and I'm supposed to be asleep when this boar comes and steals my shit out of my tent, right? And I'm laying in the tent, and I hate when I see an actor pretending to dream and they're not really having a thought. So I'm laying there, and I'm like really trying to have a dream, you know, in my mind and thoughts, and I feel something, you know, nudge my boot, and I'm like, it's a sound guy or something. It's, you know, they're messing around, and no problem. And I look up, and it's a 800-pound boar sniffing my boot, and I'm trapped. There's only one exit, and on the other side of the exit, it's like a crowd like you guys. It's the entire crew, and you know. And
I mean, the funny thing is that we had made, you have to remember back in like 2004, 5, when we were doing the show. I mean, visual effects for television have increased dramatically, the quality of what you can do, but we were really struggling to do like the polar bear as a fully VFX thing, and it looked bad. It looked kind of like a wolf, and we were trying all these things, and so we were like, we can't do a boar. Like we can't do like a fake a VFX boar. So we were like, Jack Bender was like, no problem, we'll get
Let's
a real
put Josh
boar.
in his life in danger.
And then
This
we
is fantastic.
and then we told Josh it was actually trained.
Yes. And here's the funny thing. They throw, I caught the guy, this guy throwing raw meat around my, thing. I'm like, what's that for? I said, well, that's for the boar. And I'm like, okay. So I open my eyes, and this 800-pound boar, the ones from Hannibal, that guy, is over me, and I go, oh, and he goes, oh, and he turned around to go outside and saw, like, you guys went, oh, and turned back at me, and I was like, ah! So that was, I guess,
the reality is there just aren't a lot of acting jobs for boars. So the boar.
But he
boar
was cool. He went for
freaked
the
out.
raw meat. Thank God, not this raw meat. And
But he was a
and I
huge fan, and
survived.
he asked for a photo with you, and it was
He
totally
did. He was
fine.
cool after.
And anything to say about the nicknames that may have arisen?
Well, I
Freckles was
am
scripted.
a bit, I'm
Freckles was scripted.
I'm Southern, and I remember Damon came down on the pilot and hung out with us and drank with us. And I don't drink, but yeah. Hung out and partied with us. So after that pilot, the script started kind of tailoring to our personalities, and I'm just one of those ramblers. Like, I'll be like, well, there's an eagle in every seagull, and weird shit. You can't say happiness without saying penis. And
You
and
actually
Damon,
said that to me today.
I
He
think
said it to me too.
And me.
I sing with all choirs, but
What about me?
The joke was in the 3. You would have been 4.
but so Damon, just picked up on our personalities, and I don't know, it just kind of snowballed.
You're a nicknaming motherfucker, though. We'd been working together like
I
10
know.
minutes, and he started. Sorry, are there kids here? We we were working together like 10 minutes in Vancouver, and you were like, "What's up, Skillet?" And I was
that's
like,
right, I
"What?"
did call you
He called me nothing but Skillet for 8 weeks, and I was like,
because
"I'm a
she's hot like
frying
a
pan."
skillet.
I thought it was like a frying pan thing. I was thinks I should be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. No, hot like a skillet, girl.
I never knew it was a compliment. I never knew.
I'm with you. I get it. I get it.
See?
Whose side are you on?
I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it, Sarah. How dare he? Next question. Right here.
I'm Jenna.
If you could use the microphone.
I'm Jenna. I'm a huge Lost fan.
I just did a picture with you, didn't I? Ah.
It was fun. Okay. For Carlton and Josh, I'm sorry. I'm getting really, really nervous here. Okay.
You are very close. It's an intimate room. I get it. Yeah. Your question, please.
My question is, a lot of us on the Lost support page online ask ourselves if Sawyer should have gone with Kate instead of Juliet, if there was any possible change in the script or anything like that, or.
It's really interesting. Obviously there were skaters and jaders, and there were Suyets, I don't know, but it was really interesting because when Damon and I were writing the show, a lot of it is very organic, and we really reacted to what happened with the characters. And actually, initially, when we first put Josh together with Elizabeth Mitchell, who played Juliet, it was like we weren't really sure that like the romantic chemistry was right, and then just kind of over time, it started evolving, and this thing kind of came to exist between them that seemed like a not like lust, but a more sort of deeper, more mature connection, and we really wrote to that. I mean, in a certain way, we had preconceived ideas, but we'd also kind of allowed the characters to define themselves in their relationships, and we spent a lot of time discussing how we wanted things to go, and we felt like it really made the most sense for Josh to ultimately kind of evolve as a character and declare his love for Juliet, and that was something that was just an important part of the evolution of his character. And I don't know, we certainly bounced back and forth on the Kate front, but ultimately we decided that was what we thought would be the best path for the character.
As a giant Lost fan, I love that you guys did that, by the way. I thought it was a really bold and awesome choice. I'm just throwing my 2 cents in. I've been told that the trailer is now ready to rock with audio. Woo. Now with audio. So let's watch that.
This is the trailer to Lost, or this is the trailer to Come? Okay.
It's a hybrid, actually.
Okay,
yeah.
Walking Dead.
And House.
That's awesome. Those Canadians really know how to build a wall. That's a big-ass wall.
Fast. They're real incredible wall builders.
They're trying to keep out Donald Trump.
I think that's both borders, actually, at this point. Moving out off of politics, I saw that hand go up first, right in the back. Yeah, you, with the blonde hair and the enthusiasm. Yes, you.
Hi, thank you so much for doing this. Now that I've seen the trailer, which it looks great, is this going to be similar to how Walking Dead and Lost were, where it was kind of a slow burn of episodes and you're waiting for the mysteries, or is it going to be more kind of similar to House, which was another favorite show of mine, where it was a little bit of like mystery of the week and it was wrapped up at the end of each episode?
No, it's definitely serialized, and the curtain is kind of right in front of the audience. You sort of only know as much as the characters know. There's not a character who sort of kind of comes out and sort of does some big expositional download about what's going on in the world. So over the course of the first season, you're trying to kind of piece together what exactly is going on, who's in charge, why are they doing this, what's up, in this world, and that's kind of the fun mystery of the season. And answers get doled out across the first 10 episodes.
It's the same. We don't know anything. I don't know anything, but I trust.
But I will say, we just started shooting. We did the pilot a few months ago, and we just went back into production. So I've only read up through 104. The pilot's one of the best pilots I've ever read. I think of the first 4 scripts, they only get better, and they chew through an enormous amount of story. I was surprised by how much happens in every hour. So I think it's definitely slow burn in the sense that you're going to have a ton of questions that we're never going to answer, and we don't know.
No. We will answer.
Yeah, you better, Carlton.
Sorry, we don't know.
Been there, done that. No, we have answers.
So you learned some lessons. That's good. That's good. Hey, what is, just really quick, I have a question. What is the not too distant future, roughly?
Tuesday.
Wow, drones get really good by Tuesday.
Yeah. Well, they're Canadian drones. No,
Run on
like
maple
right
syrup?
now. No, we're not, there's no flying cars or public transportation in LA. It's just now.
All right, so Tuesday. Who's got another question? I'm going to go right here in the front.
Hello, my name is Lynette Grant, and hello again to Carlton. So this question is actually for all of you, but for Carlton and Josh as well. This is really different than anything you've done kind of that I've seen, Carlton. Like the Bates Motel is not really sci-fi, and The Strain is freaky as crap until I don't watch that because I'm terrified, but it's really awesome from what I hear. And this is really kind of sci-fi, and I feel like sci-fi, I love it, but you got to get it right. So how are you approaching this differently that's going to, I'm excited about the story, but you got to kind of come at it in a way that's going to make everybody here rabid about it. So how are you doing that?
That's why he got me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
No, I think the fun thing about the show is that it's even though from the trailer. It appears it's definitely a science fiction world. The world has changed a lot, but it's really the science fiction is kind of the canvas that we're working on. The show at its heart is really a family drama and an espionage thriller, and we wanted to tell a story that had kind of science fiction leanings, but was this very real and visceral human story, and that means centering the story around the characters, and we have wonderful leads in Josh and Sarah and Peter to tell this incredibly human-driven story about a world that's been turned upside down. The social order is completely changed. People that were not in power before have suddenly been given tremendous, almost absolute power, and everybody else is kind of just trying to survive in the middle. And the human character stories that come out of that extraordinary situation are what compelled us to tell this particular story.
And it's like Carlton said before. In our world, every country has either been colonized or colonized someone else, and so it's an old human story. It's just it's a far superior enemy this time, but the principles are the same, and it's ultimately a human struggle story. So, and one we all know well.
And I mean, there obviously was a lot of science fiction in Lost, particularly as we went downstream in the show. But I mean, I do have an incredible co-writer, collaborator in Ryan, and if you don't like it, it will be his fault.
And if I may, like, for my money, one of the best seasons of television was the first season of Battlestar Galactica, right? And so, in that great tradition of science fiction, you create this. You create an external world that's new, and you use it to examine the questions of the world that you're living in right now. A lot of the questions that we're asking, what's the difference between a freedom fighter and a terrorist? It's if Battlestar Galactica was an examination of the Patriot Act, I think this is potentially, among other things, an examination of what creates terrorism and what are the things that drive people to fight against the power that exists, and what drives people to join that power. And so, my hope and what I've seen written so brilliantly so far is that that's exactly what they're doing. They've created this world of science fiction where we get to say, right now, what's happening? Let's talk about it, and let's make sure there are no bad guys. There are no good guys. There's no black and white. It's a show that exists completely in the gray area. And to me, that's what science fiction is for.
And yet, it's that gray area becomes very concrete and nothing in between when it comes to how the characters themselves are written. These are not grayly written characters. That's a terrible word. They're characters who are exceedingly human, and the relationships are very rich. And these two, they're married, and they're in love, and they have a family, and they're.
Are you talking about me and Ryan?
Yes, I am.
Or,
So that's not gray at all, and it's all that combined, which makes it, I think, so far a stellar pilot, and more to come.
It's a study of perspectives, and like even Peter's character is like, the bad guy, but a bad guy is only a person who's been hurt a lot, and makes choices around things to survive. So he's really a survivor, and same situation I may be put in, she may be put in. You make these decisions. I mean, how far would you go for your children and for your loved ones, and who comes first, them or humanity, and as a whole, what's more immediate? So it's all of that.
Peter, would you say the best villains are characters that completely believe that what they're doing is actually good or right?
Absolutely, yeah. Otherwise you're winking at it and undercutting your very badness, because any villain believes exactly that they're doing what's right. Then again, there are those that know, they have sort of more of a meta take on it, and they're okay with that. But what I love about playing this, I wouldn't even go so far to say he's a villain. He's clearly motivated by the choices he's made in his life, which, they're doing what they're doing to survive. I'm doing what I'm doing to survive, and as far as my character's concerned, that's righteous. And if it's bad from somebody else's perspective, well, so be it.
I mean, one of the things that's really fun to do as a storyteller is to subvert your expectations about a character. I mean, if you remember back to the beginning of Lost, Sawyer was actually like the second lowest testing character on the show. I mean, he was really not a good dude in the pilot.
What?
And
Second
by
lowest?
and by well, no, and that because those things really they don't test who you are as an actor. They're a poll of the audience's disdain for your behavior. You're trying to like, you know, hide Shannon's inhaler and, you know,
Kidding
get
me?
a kiss.
The first copy I got, you know, we were all in the pilot. We were falling off a mountain, and I had Hurley, and I couldn't hold him, so I dropped him. And I was like, oh, I'm done. I'm looking for another job already. I dropped the guy. You know, they're gonna kill me within the first season.
And by the end of the show, he was like the highest testing character. So it's like, you know, the arc of that character across time, I think, and the change in the audience's kind of what they think about that character is something that's really interesting. I think you will see. You know, you may have a certain opinion of Proxy Snyder at the beginning of the show, and I promise you by the end of the first 10 episodes, you will have a much more complicated sense of what this guy is like and much more of kind of sympathy for what he's trying to do.
I'm sorry, who was the lowest testing character on Lost?
Well, I think at the beginning it was Jin because he was so mean to his wife.
Oh.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
And these things are really, they're truly a measure of behavior. They're not a measure of the actor. I mean, again, Daniel ended up, you know, once Jin became a character that the audience understood and you know, we saw a lot of flashbacks in his character, then he rose, you know, way up in the standing. So it's those characters were basically kind of the bad guys at the beginning of the series.
Yeah. We got time for one, maybe two more questions. Right there, ma'am.
Hi. Hello. Lavinia from Italy. First of all, I want to thank Carlton for Lost, for like he gave me like me and my best friends 6 great years of try to get what was happening.
Oh, and thank you.
My question is for Josh. You always play like this, like you say, this dark character. If you have to create a character for yourself, how would it be and in which kind of story? Because like you look like in interview, you look like a funny guy, more happy than your character.
You mean for me to create a character for myself?
Yeah, if you could just create any character, what would you do?
Will Bowman from Colony, I think.
Is one. You kidding me? I was born in the wrong era. I think I'm a trapper from back in that day, you know, and I would probably want to film a show of me in the mountains trapping, and it'd be boring as hell. Nobody'd watch it, so darn it, Jeremiah Johnson's been done. But that's kind of what I would like, and
that's why we put the boar in the tent.
Which is fantastic, but I didn't have a trap. I had raw meat around me. I was the bait.
One more question. I saw that hand go up in the back there.
I guess just from the trailer, I'm just trying to understand, is it a situation where in the occupation the children are taken, and then Josh is now trying to find their son?
No, the Los Angeles has been colonized, so there's this huge wall that kind of surrounds the city, and then within the city, within the greater colony of Los Angeles, there's 3 different blocks, and each of those blocks are walled off, sort of like East Berlin was walled off from West Berlin in Germany, and the invasion happened very suddenly, and it was kind of an overnight thing, and the walls went up very quickly, and Will and Katie's middle son, Charlie, was in Santa Monica, so he's on the other side of the wall from them. So they were separated, and the chaos of this thing had happened so quickly. A lot of people have been displaced, and people were visiting Los Angeles. They're now suddenly stuck there. People were outside of Los Angeles that now can't get home. And I mean, that's part of the kind of, you know, family character struggle that we're setting up with the show. But yes, so Charlie is in Santa Monica, and Will and Kate are desperate to get there to get him back and bring him back into the Los Angeles block.
I got it. I'll be tuning in.
Thank you.
That's our time, everybody. That was it. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause and thank you to our Colony panelists. Give it up for them, guys.